IVM.
My guest today is an ex-advertising professional who quit her successful career to pursue her passion for food and became one of the most innovative culinary chefs in India. She has trained and worked under Michelin Star chefs around the world. Her profound knowledge of cooking, along with her wit and mad desire to push the boundaries, has led to her entrepreneurial journey, which is very unique. वो कहते हैं ना, सब लोग प्यार में पागल हैं. ये भी एक्चुअली प्यार में इतना पागल हो गई है कि इन्होंने ओपन कर दिया एक रेस्टोरेंट जिसका नाम है लव फूल्स, प्यार में पागल. I'm really excited and happy to have Sarita Pereira on my show today. And what is most unique about this is that this is actually the first power couple on the show. We've had in our last season Abhijit Pradhan, and now we have the boss, Sarita, on the show. So Sarita, welcome to the show. Really excited to have you here.
Thanks, Vishal. And Abhijit, if you're hearing this, he's just referred to me as the boss.
Well, we all know, or maybe Abhijit is now the boss.
No, so anyway, I like this, what you just also said, Pyar Mein Pagal, which is exactly, what was behind the name. Or at least, I think it came from the thought that there are a whole lot of people like me who could be fools, who would just pursue their passion and go to any length, just trying to follow their heart.
But I think what is most exciting about your journey is that how unusual it is. From advertising to learning physiotherapy to massage to pranic healing to hypnotherapy and now to hypnotizing people to eat your food. That's been quite a journey. And I can tell you, I have been to LoveFools now a few times and it is an outstanding experience. And people who are listening to the show, sorry, you cannot go to that restaurant. And I'll tell you the reason why. The reason is it's by invitation and by appointment only. So please tell us about this unique concept.
So I had just come back from Spain and in my head, I don't think Bombay was an option at that time because I couldn't even imagine affording anything, which was within my rent or budget in Bombay. I ran away to Goa literally the next weekend trying to find my dad's property, which I never took interest in all my life, and seeing if I could do anything there. And, literally, I think the weekend after which I came back to Bombay, I found this space. It literally landed in my lap and it was like, Bombay just didn't give me an option. That's what I felt. And so I had this space. I started with literally one dinner, and it started with a friend who got together some 12 people who I didn't know because they were her friends. And it started like that, from there, the word of mouth kept building. I didn't have a brand name at that time. I didn't have a website. I didn't have Insta or a Facebook page. I was just doing dinners after dinners. And after 6 months, Abhijit just woke up and he said, hello, you need to kind of, now really think of a brand name, build a brand, the marketing side of him. He was really pushing me a lot to do that.
So the concept is very unique. The restaurant has no menu. There is you can't just walk into the restaurant. So can you kind of run me through this concept?
So when I started, I was doing 26 courses because that's what I was doing.
26 courses?
Yeah, because that's what I was doing in Spain and in Catalonia. And in that part of the world, it's very normal, 36 courses because also dinner is not rushed in that part of the world. People don't mind
4
spending.
I know minimum 4 hours in Spain.
People, it's very usual on a everyday basis to spend 4 hours. When I tried doing that in Bombay, I figured that people don't have time. They're always looking at their watch and they want to rush. And they don't have, in their head, 36 is just, we're not used to it at all.
And even though the plates are small, it's like 1 bite or 2 bites, right?
Typically, we're not used to giving that much importance to food where we would spend 6 hours doing that. So I think I managed to, over the 6 months when I was doing a lot of experimentation, I figured that with a lot of back and forth that 8 is just the right number, though it was pushing it a little bit, but it's still the right number where you're getting people to switch off. First you're getting people to switch off, then you're getting them to pay attention to the food, then you're getting them to kind of get engaged with it. And then at some point it just becomes all about conversations. They're forgetting their phones, they're forgetting their mobile, and then the focus comes back to just enjoying and having a good time. So I think 8 was a number which just did that. And like 7 or 6 would have been nice, for them. But for me, it was just pushing them a little more.
So, but like I said, right, there is no menu in the restaurant.
Yes.
So how did you explain people the concept? Did they get this? I mean, what kind of a restaurant are they going to where there is... They don't even know what they're going to be served.
In the beginning, it was, of course, so because it was through word of mouth, people who came had heard about it and they'd heard about it from their friends. When they called me and when they wanted to come, they were a little open to it. And I think they were open to the idea of adventure somewhere. And I think a lot of people also felt relieved that they didn't have to choose from the menu. And I think it took its time where I think now it has reached a point where most of the people know that there is no menu. It's a surprise, Whereas some people insist that they want to know the menu, but I think finally they just come around it. So I had this incident, where Sachin Tendulkar wanted to book the place and for his wife's birthday, and he said, I want to know the menu. And I said, listen, Sachin, I don't share the menu. So he said, can you at least have a Thai course for me? So I said, sure, I can do that. So I think it's just been, everyone has finally just come around and accepted it.
Well, that was just your modest way of saying that celebrities are now coming to your restaurant.
I think again that has just been through word of mouth and it's just been building like that. Like I've really not done anything consciously to market the place besides just kind of ensuring that every table is done the best way that I can do it.
So how does a person come and book?
So right now there are 2-3 ways. People book on the website directly or they call me and they try and get a spot, or some friends have recommended and,
Abhijit was telling me the only way to book it is through Abhijit and we need to know and be his friend. Otherwise, he says there is a waiting list
I have
for
tried
months.
So hard to get him there. And he just came once and he said, I refuse to be a manager. And he's never come back again. And all those guests...
I remember the first time he frantically called me, you have to come. We are having a keto special.
And all the guests, by the way, the time when he had come, they still asked for Abhijit. Where is Abhijit? Why is he not here?
No, he came for my other dinner.
He came for the keto one.
No, the keto one and the other one also. The other one which we had with our friends.
Yeah, but there he came as a guest.
Yes,
he was eating the food.
He was like honored. I am also paid customer.
But there was one in the beginning where he came. I said, you manage the crowd.
He must have told me 10 times that he's here as a paid customer.
He told me as well to ensure that I at least follow all the keto rules for him. So he was very happy to know that somebody was he was a paid customer.
No, but you had a very interesting childhood too. You are a Gujarati and a Goan mix. I mean, this is a very, very rare combination. I don't know the Guju or the Goan. Which one is really inspiring you? Because I think the Goan is where the food comes from. And maybe the Guju is where all these business acumen and, starting LoveFools is coming from.
I don't know if my mother is business at all because she's a doctor. But I think both of them had very different
business
influence.
Is in the blood.
I don't see that in my mother's side of family though. But I think, yes, they've both influenced me very strongly with two very different food culture. And I think my mom had a very different style of cooking, being a doctor, so it didn't have so much of a Gujarati influence as much as simple, very, very simple, one ingredient.
So you
kind
had dal
of cooking.
dhokli and pork vindaloo together.
Yeah, literally on a plate you will find dal dhokli or dhokla and mutton on the same plate. It's the biggest contradiction that you would see. Yeah.
And so you ended up growing up in Gujarat or in Goa. Where did you spend most?
A little bit of everything. So I was in in Bombay in the beginning. I was living with my grandparents, and then when my grandfather passed away, very suddenly I had to move to Gujarat, where my mother was. She had to take a transfer to a town where there was a school, because she was at that time, with a government hospital, and it wasn't easy for her. So, which she eventually did. She got stationed. My father was in and out. My mother was in and out of the house. So I shuffled a lot, actually, because of, adjusting with her career at that time. And then a lot of time in Goa after that, and then came back to
And
Bombay
how was it
eventually.
growing like in Goa in like 20 years back or 30 years back? How was it?
I don't know. I just have only the best of memories there, So now when I look back, I want to go back there. I feel like there are a lot of things. It's just as beautiful, and everything, the smell, the food, the place, it just does not feel.
And what is your favorite restaurant in Goa? Apart from home food.
It's a small little place in Panjim, which is like a thali place,
Okay.
So I am very big on spicy Goan food.
Spicy
So,
Goan
yeah,
food.
I'm like, for me, spice is very, very big,
I like this prawn balchao. That kind of spices are you talking about?
I can handle, like, on a scale of 1 to 10, I can handle about 15, 16
Oh.
level of spice. So I'm like,
so no wonder you like chicken kolhapuri and all these Maharashtrian dishes too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, give me anything with spice, and like, I'll be a slave.
So there's this thing which my wife loves, and I've tried it a few times too, called thecha.
Yeah, which is made with coriander and green chili.
It's like literally green chilies pasted.
Yeah. It's lovely. So anybody who loves spice, she would definitely love that. Yeah.
So you grew up in between Bombay, Gujarat and Goa.
Yeah.
Where did you finally go finish your college from, or your schooling was all over?
My schooling was all over. Then I came back to Bombay, Sydenham. I finished
I didn't like that college because I was in Podar. Podar and Sydenham always have this.
I don't know what I did in my college, but I studied. I don't know where the years went by, and then I finished my management from there. I don't know. It was like, you're doing something and you're in a cycle and, you're just finishing that, So I think I was in that rut somewhere, where I finished my...
You did your MBA also?
Yeah, I did my MBA, and like everybody else, went and got a job. I had a job from Oberoi's, which I didn't take. Now in hindsight, I'm like, why didn't I take that? And then I had with an ad agency, and I chose that. And I think maybe somewhere it was the influence of my father, who came from the creative industry. And I think I wanted to
So he was into cinematography?
Cinematography, yeah.
Wow. So has he done stuff for movies and things like that?
Yeah, he was, yeah. So with Pyasa and a lot of those movies at that time,
Pyasa is like...
Yeah. So hugely influenced, though he never wanted me to go anywhere near that. But there was still that thing of, like, that was my idea of creativity, though I didn't end up in a creative space. But
well, you entered into advertising.
Advertising, yeah. So, but I think not literally that way. So I think for me it was like experimenting. It made sense at that time, and I chose that.
And what were you doing in the advertising industry?
So I was on the business side of advertising. I was into client servicing. I was doing that for many years.
So what does client servicing actually mean?
So it's basically, you're taking a brief or a mandate from the client. You are understanding the business needs. You're understanding the customer needs. You're understanding how to launch a product, how to launch a brand, how to build a brand, all of that. And you're converting that, and you're translating that internally with the creative department, with the planning department, and you're creating a product and then kind of creating your final creative product out of that. So I did that, and for many, it just didn't make sense to me at some point, because I think there was a point where there was just a huge need of finding what my passion was.
But I mean, you had the perfect career, right? You did your MBA and you are into advertising, and advertising is a glamour world.
I remember one fine day I met this friend who's a not friend, but really an advisor who's a naturopath. And I went and I cried to her and I was sobbing, and she said, what happened? And I said, listen, I have no talent. I don't know what I'm doing, but I don't have a single skill which I can claim is a skill. and I need to find that, And she said, then just walk away from what you're doing. And she said, whatever comes your way, just keep saying yes to it, and that's the way you'll find it.
So I used to always think, but yeah, after doing MBA, people are coming and saying, I don't have a single skill.
So I
think it's point for all the MBAs and all the professionals to think about this, right?
Yeah. So I don't know. It was like, I think there was a point where I actually felt that it was just meaningless. Whatever I was doing was very, very meaningless.
And when did you end up meeting Abhijit?
So Abhijit, I met him during my advertising career.
So before you felt it was meaningless, or after?
Before, much before that. And he was part of I don't know who influenced whom, because I think after I walked away, within a year, he also walked away from the corporate career. Maybe he was just following you. From the corporate career. So I think we both tried looking for meaning outside. We were both in that phase of looking for something different.
Clearly it is quite a decision to take to quit a career itself, right? I mean, normally people change jobs and,
Yeah.
So how are you very sure that it was, I want to leave the industry? Because, people have bad bosses and, pressure. So those could be the reasons, but you were so clear that no, I just don't want to do this.
Yeah. I think it was just a moment like where I just felt that what I was doing was absolutely meaningless, and I have to find that talent or a skill. I can't be.
So this was the Pagalpan episode 1.
This was, yeah.
This is literally episode 1.
It was like there was this need to find it, and I said it doesn't matter. I'll sell my car. I'll sell whatever I have. I have a little bit of bank balance. I can last for 2 years with this money that I have. And I think I think maybe I just kind of planned just 2 years
and
ahead
then you
of
decided
me.
to learn, you went to Switzerland or something, right? What was that?
So then I experimented a lot. The first thing I did was, I wanted to get into the space of functional medicine or alternate therapy.
Ye kya hota hai? At that time, if you say functional medicine, people will know, what is this?
Which is to do with alternate healing. And I think it also comes from this because I have healed myself from a tumor and completely with yoga and homeopathy and stuff like that. So I believe that, that there could be another way of looking at, healing.
Tumor with yoga and homeopathy.
Yeah, with yoga and homeopathy. Wow. With 1 year, because I was told by all the surgeons and doctor that you need to get operated like now, immediately, and I don't know what came into me, but I just decided to research, and I figured that this could be another way, and I kind of went ahead and I took that chance for a year.
Oh, that was a big risk to take, Steve Jobs took the same risk, but it didn't work out for him.
No, but it just like after a year, it like kind of worked out beautifully. So I believe in that way.
But did you take somebody's advice, or you were like, no, I have read 2 books?
No, I went against my mother's dictate and
your mother doctor, right?
Yeah. But I don't know. I just believe that there is another way of looking at this. The risk in the surgery were too high at that time, and I just wanted to explore. And this is
which year we're talking about?
This was like very, very early, like when I was out of my college.
Wow.
So I think I've like gone through the worst of, that 1 year was very, very difficult health-wise for me. And I managed to, I don't know, it was like leap of faith that there is another way of looking at it. And I think it has become a way of life for me. So when I walked away from advertising, for me, that was one thing that I really wanted to, because I genuinely believe that there are so many ways of healing the body. And it can work along with science. So first I went and did was therapeutic massage techniques. So I went and learned with a German teacher in Switzerland. And
But how did you find a German teacher in Switzerland to teach you therapeutic massage?
I don't know. I think somebody told me about it. Somebody introduced me, and I knew she was doing this course. So the first thing I did was, after I quit, I just went away and spent time with her, and I kind of did this course, and I learned, and I was just very happy because I used to be so exhausted.
So let me understand it. Like, somebody tells you, hey, there is a therapeutic massage course, some good teacher in Spain.
I had nothing to lose because I'd quit my job.
No, but I'm just saying, you could have gone to Haridwar, you could have gone to Kerala.
No, but the best of the healing techniques and the teachers are all German, and the lot of functional, because they do a lot of functional therapy work over there. And then I came to Chennai. I went and lived in Chennai for a month again.
So you went to Switzerland for how many days?
So I was in Switzerland for about 20 days. Then I came back to Chennai.
And you learned this therapeutic massage.
The same. And then the same. I found a teacher who was in Chennai. So I went and did another advanced course with her as well, who's also kind of trained with this.
What is therapeutic massage?
So it's basically helping remove the emotional trauma and finding out all the knots in your body that get stored whenever you're going through any emotional trauma. So it's just dissolving that, it's removing that. I actually went and got a massage table at my mother's place. I thought I'll make a career out of it. And at the end of the day, I would be so exhausted and I couldn't see a career going anywhere. Maybe I think it was just back out, or I just walked out of advertising, and I was used to a certain kind of a lifestyle, and maybe it was just not fitting into my space.
You need to be like, you have to apply so much pressure while giving massage yourself, right?
No, I was enjoying it. Like, I really loved it, but I think financially at that point of time, because I just literally walked away without any
I can see the Guju brain and the Goan brain at times, right? The Goan brain is like, chalo, massage karate hain, and then it's like, arey kya ye? Huh?
So most of the time it's a Goan brain that dominates.
But the Guju brain helps you from like returning from some of these things,
mistakes, right? Yeah. And then I went and did somatics, which
what is that now?
Which is basically like a muscle rehabilitation.
Somatics.
S.
Oh,
S for sugar, yeah. And
so,
a lot of people who go through sports injury, severe muscle contraction, how do you recover from that? Because, that's a very severe condition.
But, was there like thousands of sports people having this problem in India?
No, I mean any injury which is like a marathon related injury or a running related
marathon
whatever. I don't know. I mean, I just at that time it just felt like something that that fascinated me a lot, and I feel I learned a lot with that.
These are topics which I have not even heard about today, and you were fascinated about them.
And I did
after
that.
College.
I even had all these people coming with the injury, and I think I was trying to fix them and move them and, find a lot of... But I think what I really liked was a lot of work which was, physically intensive,
And where did you learn this somatic?
I actually went to Rishikesh to do this.
Oh, finally. Something was learnt in Rishikesh.
With a German teacher.
Maybe you could have German teacher in Rishikesh.
With a German teacher though.
No, so, I can only say, had you continued there, maybe you could have been Baba Ramdev. Huh?
So that was my best time that I kind of, all the learning that I did over there.
So you go and find Germans everywhere in the world to teach you all these things. That's another insight I never knew. A shout out to all the Germans. If you can teach any of these things, please write or tweet to us. So after somatic, what did you do?
Then I decided I want to do hypnotherapy.
जब सब कुछ नहीं चला उसको hypnotize the person, and then you can do somatic or
I think
massage.
I was also a lot into Osho that time.
Oh, you are an Osho disciple, huh?
Yeah.
Wild country.
There's a phase in your life.
Wild country. And you were one of those people in that video, right?
There's a phase in your life where you try to figure out what spirituality is. So it was that phase, and
so you went to Pune, or there also he went to some international?
No, so this I think it was also to do with the fact that, when he was poisoned, one of the way that he managed to get out of his physical illness towards the end of his life was with this self-hypnosis. So a lot of body-mind conversation, so it's
have you met him and all that? And you
No.
Oh,
so, I mean,
this is the story.
This is the story, and I know that it worked very well for him, for his physical healing at that stage, that towards the last stage of his life.
How do you hypnotize yourself?
So, so I professionally learned the self-hypnosis, and more than that, even like using hypnosis for healing, so if someone
So you have
has a
to
very severe...
self-hypnotize and then you can hypnotize others.
No. So using hypnotherapy, so putting someone in, or literally taking someone into your subconscious state of mind, because that's where you can give auto suggestions. And if you're giving up, because it's like you're trying to give up smoking, the conscious mind will take a decision but will forget about it within minutes. But what happens is if the same message has gone into your subconscious, it is rooted forever. So it's like there are old files in your subconscious and there are new files. So you have to remove all the old files
Delete the old files and then paste the new
all
files.
The new files. So what a hypnotherapy does is where you plant those new files.
So how can you do self-hypnotherapy though?
So it's the same thing where you learn to take yourself into a little more very relaxed state of mind.
Can you hypnotize people from listening to a podcast? Is it possible? We want them to only listen to this for the rest of their life.
Vishal, I think people are going to run away from LoveFools thinking God knows what.
Abhi, if you can do all this by auto suggestions and all that, that's what I want you to do.
No, we can't do that.
You can't do that?
No.
The Vishal Gondal Show will be right back after this break.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you are not following us on social media, please make sure that you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. So we have something really exciting in store for Star Wars fans. After a successful first edition of the Geek Fruit Cantina, we're back with another. Come celebrate Star Wars Day with us. That's May the 4th with Geek Fruit at the Cuckoo Cafe in Bandra. That's in Mumbai. We have a super fun evening planned with a live podcast featuring special guests, Star Wars merchandise up for grabs, Dinkers games, along with Star Wars themed food and cocktails. You don't want to miss this. This week on The Seen and the Unseen, Amit Verma's guest is economist and researcher Ajay Shah. The two of them talk about zombie firms and banks artificially kept alive by taxpayers. They also take a look at the recent collapse of Jet Airways. On the second episode of the Ronnie Screwwala podcast, Dreaming with Your Eyes Open, I talked to him about his early life, moving from Grant Road to Bridge Candy, organizing a rock concert in his youth, and how there is no right age to become an entrepreneur. On IVM Likes, Janam, Abhineet and Madhuri discuss the gut-wrenching Netflix original series, Delhi Crime. On Shunya One, Sheila Ditya and I are joined by Gaurav Jalan, founder and CEO of M-Pocket. We talk about the current tech scenario in Kolkata and also get into the technicalities of M-Pocket. On Advertising is Dead, Varun talks to Advait Gupta, co-founder and CEO of Supari Studios, about branded and purpose-driven content. On the Filter Coffee podcast, Karthik is joined by Siddharth Deshmukh, who shares his experience at MICA, both as a student and as a media professor. He talks about liberal education. In Echoes of India, Anirudh explains how brilliant political and religious innovations in 5th century India led to a spurt of temple building. On Croc Tales last week, Anand Sivakumara reveals the last part of his tale's psycho girlfriend and begins another multi-part story on Anita's toothache. And with that, let's move on with your shows.
Have you also done this thing called Reiki, where remotely you can treat anything?
Yeah, I've tried doing that. I tried doing pranic healing, but none of that, like pranic healing, Reiki was good to just experiment on me. But of all the things that I did, what really stood out for me was somatics and like if I would have used to make a career out of whatever.
So who taught you hypnotherapy, by the way? Sorry, I forgot to ask you.
I learned
this is again some German or French? Huh?
Yes. I learned at the ashram. So ashram has many courses for...
This is at Osho.
The Osho ashram, and you stay there
and you were wearing one of those robes, right?
Yes. For days. Learning.
So now if you look back of your time in Osho, what do you think about it? What are your memories about it, and what do you now conclude?
I don't know. I feel I can now use all of those things for my own healing. Okay. And max a friend or someone in the family, who's not well, because I'm still very, very interested in that and invested in that subject. So I think I use it a lot for self-healing more than anything else, because I think I always wake up with aches and pains every morning and I have to every day fix myself. So all of that is coming.
And you're only
rescue.
doing hypnotherapy to fix yourself.
I just do that like on an everyday basis.
So who did hypnotism on whom? Is it Abhijit or you? Because you are both like...
He runs away from me. He's the only one who's refused to get a massage from me. He's the only one who's refused to get hypnotized. So he just runs away from all of these things.
Wow. That's something, because, we know that he was also probably going through his own challenges, right? We discussed that when you got married, he was over 100 kgs.
Yeah.
And now he's like 40 kgs. I don't know.
Now I don't recognize. Like you mentioned, I don't know where's the other half gone.
Where's the other half gone? Yeah. And we were also talking that who is high maintenance? Abhijit, we all think that you are very high maintenance. What do you have to think about that?
No comments.
Abhijit only has a particular coffee grown from a particular region and a particular climate. He would only eat a chocolate which has to be grown somewhere. And what did you tell him about his chicken?
True that.
His chicken also has to have some quality.
It has to be grass-fed.
The chicken has to be grass-fed.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to ask the chicken what the chicken wants to eat. But for Abhijit, it has to eat grass.
The fish has to be a deep sea catch.
How does he know it is deep sea catch?
So everything has to be, I think he's just very, very
You have to hypnotize him. I'm telling you. We need to erase some of these things. He is going to be very damaging to the environment, because for him, the poor fishermen have to risk their lives and go to deep sea.
You have to get him to the table, then I'll do the rest.
Anyway, coming back to, so once again, you've done massage, hypnotherapy, somatics, then you've done pranic healing, you have done Osho, you have done...
I'm a trained, massage therapist.
Massage therapist.
Yeah.
What else?
I used to charge 1,000 rupees an hour, and then I used to spend 2 hours, and I would be so exhausted.
1,000 rupees an hour at that time would be like 10,000 rupees an hour today, right? I mean, if you just take inflation.
Yeah, but I think this technique was not there, so.
And I'm just, in India, like people massage to massage hai, right? I mean, people don't really know the differences, except now suddenly people have realized that in Kerala massage, they put a lot of oil on you. So they are willing to pay more because the oil is more on you.
Yeah, no, but I think that time it had just started, that this whole movement had started that time. So people did know about it. Whole lot of people did know about it.
So all your time between, deciding what you are going to do, when did you meet Abhijit and when did you guys get married? Ye sab kab ho raha tha?
I was married to Abhijit,
and then you went to Osho and all. So this is all parallel.
I mean, I'd quit my... Yeah. And then I went to... In between, I kept doing all these things. He
was in between doing his own things also, right?
He was in between doing his own thing. He wanted to go and, officially train himself to be a coach. So he went to Singapore to study, become a coach. So he was doing whole lot of things at that time and exploring, trying to find out what he wants
husband
to
wife
do.
पागल है मतलब वो जो पूरा का पूरा love fools, we know where the love and the fools are coming, so maybe it's actually the
two of us. Yeah, possibly, but he's really supported me a lot in the entire journey.
He's a genius. We know that.
More than anything else, he's been the coach. 100 times told me this is wrong, even if I've gone and done it, and finally I'm
but he let you do. He let you make all the mistakes also. That is the most important thing, right? It is not about just telling you don't do, but do it and learn and then pivot, as we call it. So you kept pivoting from all these things. So between all these various things, you must have then, met many clients who must have come to you and said, I need pranic healing or I need...
Yeah, I had, each of it was like a little career in itself, and I did it for a little while till it didn't make sense. Something didn't make sense, something didn't add up, and it just didn't feel right. And I think I was constantly still looking for what made sense. So, and like I said, someone had given me advice that say yes to everything that comes your way. So I had that liberty of keep experimenting till I found something. I also did did recruiting. I did HR.
Oh yeah, you had an HR firm also. Wow. I almost forgot that.
Yeah. So, and because I came from an advertising background, that seemed like a temporary solution to...
So we've already counted 8 or 9 careers by now.
Expensive courses.
It's amazing, right? I mean, see, the point is people don't want to explore. That is the ultimate thing about you, right? You kept doing new things because, you never know what is going to work. And this is exactly, by the way, this is what in technology terms we call A/B testing. So what they are now doing is they are saying that every consumer has a different preference. Keep testing what works for you. Doesn't work, try the another one. Doesn't work, try the other one, right? And that's what you did with your life, because a lot of people do this one thing and then just get stuck to it for the rest of their life. They have miserable life, they're hating their jobs, but they don't have the courage to change. So how did you get this courage 9 or 10 times? I mean, ek baar to theek hai, do baar theek hai, 10 baar.
I think I fooled myself all the time. That's how I think even the name LoveFools happened eventually. But yeah, I think it's just like telling yourself that you'll survive for 6 more months. It's okay. Yeah.
So what, I mean,
and that keeps you going.
Saying that you fool yourself is different, but this must be also hurting your self-confidence in some way, right?
No, honestly, I enjoyed each of those. And I think when I walked away from advertising, I was pretty certain that I want to do something that I enjoy and that I love doing. So I was very, very sure I needed to find that. And I think in my head, I was willing to give that time to experimentation.
No, experimentation is different, but normally what people do this, they call it hobbies. So they have a job and then they do all this as a side on a weekend. But you were doing all this as full-time activities.
For me, it was very serious. So when I became a masseur, I was very serious about it, and I thought I'll make a career out of it. I had a table and I was charging people the money. Till one fine morning I woke up and I said, this is not it. And I might as well, I've learned early. Unlike advertising where I've spent little time, I've learned early, let me exit, So I think it was more of that. I think everything I took very, very seriously, and I had a whole list of clientele in each of those businesses. So.
And then suddenly what HR consulting? What is the connection between all this and HR consulting?
Somebody just approached me from my advertising days and said, would you like to try this out? And I said, no, it sounds very... it doesn't interest me, and there is no mind application, and there's nothing that I think I'll enjoy. But he said, listen, there is money in this. And that just clicked, like you said, the Gujarati part in me, right?
Yeah, so, I can clearly see
so I just...
The happy-go-lucky Goan is willing to learn anything and do anything.
And I was spending a lot doing those courses.
I'm sorry, you're stereotyping, but that is...
Yeah, and all the courses that I wanted to do were expensive. So I said, okay, my bank
you're only
balance
willing to learn from
depleting.
American and German and French and Spanish coaches, right?
Yeah. So I think it just made sense. And in my head, it was like bread and butter and it's funding the things that I want to do. And it just made sense at that point of time because it was also giving me a good life balance, which was never there in advertising, because advertising is a 24/7
So
job.
Here we have Mr. Perfect Abhijit trying to find the superstar code and trying to dissect and deconstruct how things can be done perfectly. And here you are, who's experimenting, making mistakes and trying out new things. So how did these two philosophies gel with each other?
I guess he was always the coach because he knew somewhere that she's delusional, she's still going to do, and she's not going to listen, and she's still going to do what she wants to do. So I think he felt happier just guiding me, but then he would back off.
I remember you also did running at some point of time, right?
Yeah. Very seriously.
I was a second bakra and you were the first. I think the only two people you ever taught running.
Chi running, yeah. You learned chi running from him, right? So yeah, I did a lot of marathons, in between. I've stopped now. I have no time to train, but yes, I did that. In fact, that I think has trained me in a lot of ways to get used to the working hours and the madness of this, of a chef life.
Wow. So after all these crazy career choices and experimentation, how many years did you run your HR consulting?
So I was about 5-6 years in that business, and I just started, there was this itch at the same time to Abhijit was doing his workshops, and I used to, feed people during those workshops. So somewhere the Kida kind of started at that time. He would do these workshops every Saturday at our place, and it just became my thing to do like one full breakfast, lunch, dinner for all
So
the
you always liked
participants.
cooking.
I think it started, I always loved cooking. Somewhere one of the friends pointed out to me that in the last 4 years that you've been getting all your dabbas or whatever, you've never repeated a dish. So a lot of these things started impacting, and, it made me think. And then I think when I was doing this thing for the workshop, it made me think again. And I don't know, there was just a point where I just woke up and I said, you know what, I want to be a professional chef. And I don't know how to go about it, but I need to put a plan for it.
And the HR consulting was still going on?
Was still going on, but at the same time, I was clear that, because when I started it, in my head, it was a temporary 3 or 4 year journey.
You already, before you start a journey, you already know that kitne saal ka hai aur temporary hai.
Yeah, because I knew that it's not something that I like. At that point, it made sense that, it's bringing me certain finances.
Because, here, people are trying to plan their careers and, their next generation's careers, and people are thinking long term, and people are investing. I mean, if you look at people traditionally, they all want stability. They all want predictability. That's the thing which people are trying to pursue.
Yeah.
And you are trying to pursue already by design. I'm just doing this for 2 years and I don't like it. So what is the thought process behind that?
In my head, it just made sense as something that's helping me, the next, I was clear that it's bread and butter. It's a background that I come from.
But you never
so
had
I
something कि एक चीज ढूंढनी है जो मेरे को अभी कम से कम 10 साल के लिए करना है.
Yeah, I was, right? I was all the time still looking for what is that passion. Remember, it started with I don't have a skill. I don't have a talent. And that was a sore point which continued. That's the reason I tried out so many things, because for me it was I don't have a talent. If I'm a marketing person, I don't, no disrespect to any marketing people, but for me, it
marketing people don't have talent. Okay, it's debatable, but yeah, we can discuss that on another show.
But yeah, for me, it was I don't have a talent and I need to find a skill. So I think it was it was a crying need since the time I walked away from
What was the reaction of your friends and family members? If you see somebody changing so many things, did you ever hear criticism or any negativity around what you are doing?
No. My father had passed away by that time. I have my mother, and I think she's been very, very supportive of everything that I've done. So, and then I have Abhijit, who's been extremely supportive. So it's not been that complicated.
I have 10 more career ideas for you, by the way, if you want to wake up tomorrow. Huh?
No, so it's not really been complicated, honestly.
So you had nobody in your life who had ever told you that, what is this? This sounds crazy. Why are you doing this?
No,
because there are so many naysayers, right? Generally, you meet and people are saying, "Arey, soch le ek baar, risk kyun le rahe ho?" There are people like this in everybody's life, some or the other.
Yeah. No, I don't know. Maybe I've just met the right people who were very supportive along the journey, who probably knew that.
Or do you think if there were some people like this in your life, you would have not taken up all these different things?
No, I think I would have still done it, because I was clear that's what I was looking for, and I was clear that I was looking for something, and that kept coming back again and again and again and again for me. So there was that need to find.
Andar ki awaaz.
There was that need to find. I didn't know for many years what that was, and I think I kept looking and looking and looking, and that's what it was. I think there was a point where there was just that frustration of finding this talent, or whatever you want to say.
Finding this deep sea fish in the water.
Yeah, so there was that. So I think it just kept kind of, even if I forgot about it, after 5 days, I would wake up and, look for that. So
amazing. And then you started, making food for these different workshops.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you decided that you want to
I
learn.
want to be a professional chef, and I caught hold of a friend, and I said, listen, and she was wanting to be a coach. So I said, you know what, you meet me every Monday and you ensure.
But you had a coach in your house, Abhijit.
It was just much easier. Now, of course, he was guiding me through the process, but I said, you meet me every Monday and I'm responsible for staying on track.
So you got a life coach.
Yeah. And I said,
and who's this life coach, by the way?
Sampada.
Okay.
Yeah. So she and of course Abhijit continuously. And I said, you guys are responsible for ensuring that I stay on track.
So you are like their biggest success story, huh?
That I don't know, but I'm like, beat me up, if I don't do, and if I these are my goals and milestones of how to get there, because I didn't know how to get there.
And what were your goals? How did you define your goal?
So one of the first thing was, I need to study and I need to train myself, and all the options that were available.
You got so much training done. Uske baad bhi your goal was I want to study and train myself.
I think it's a continuous.
Like people do graduation and they say their studies are over.
I think it's a crying need. I don't know why. So I just
so that's the Gujju who wants to keep studying. No, that's the go, and I don't know.
I don't know what part it is. And then I said, okay, I need to study. I don't have the money. I can't afford to give 2 years to my career. What am I going to do? So the first thing I did was get all the books that chefs read, because
there are quite a few books. Which were the books you got for?
So I got everything.
Kitchen
I got
Confidential.
The Ferrandi Encyclopedia.
Kitchen Confidential is also there, right? With Anthony Bourdain all.
Yeah. I got every single possible book. I got the encyclopedia. I got every single book, and that was the first investment that I did. When those books
And which were the top 3 books you recommend people to read if they want to be chefs?
Ferrandi, I think.
Ferrandi?
Yeah. No, not Ferrandi. Of course, the pastry part is Ferrandi, but Ferran Adria. So there's an encyclopedia, which is one of the best. The Modernist Kitchen, which is all the modernist techniques, which are very, very good if you just want to focus on the techniques. And when those books came, I remember my reaction, and I remember calling Abhijit and I was sobbing and I said, I don't understand a word of any of these books.
Why is that?
Because, when you actually look at those books and the language in there and the techniques they're talking about, it's just...
especially French cuisine is like making meringue and all these sauces.
In the beginning, it sounded like
and
Greek to me.
vide.
Yeah. So when the books came, I was like, I can't understand a word of any of those books, and I don't think I can make it. So I think it took me a while, because every time I would read and open a page, it would sound Greek to me. So I think from there, I just decided I'm going to convert my mother's place into a studio. I'm going to experiment every day. I'm going to keep trying. So I think that's what I did.
Your mother's place was in Goa or here?
Bandra.
In Bandra, okay.
Bandra. So I converted her place into a studio. Every day we were experimenting. And trying out a new dish.
So what was a day like? You wake up, have breakfast and go there and say, today I'm going to make...
every day I had decided that I'm going to give 4 to 8, and I'm going to do different
4
experiments.
4 p.m. to 8 p.m. you will be there.
Yeah. And I would experiment on whatever. And I think during one such week when I was experimenting...
experimenting ka matlab kya hai? You have to just go there and cook something.
Look at a technique which I didn't understand.
Open a book and say, today I am going to do...
Yeah, because they were all new for me. It was just like a different new world for me.
But aren't there YouTube videos? I was told that you can see all these YouTube videos and learn this.
I don't think there's much for... yes, there is, but it's still, the techniques which are there in a lot of these books.
Eggs, and now what I've started doing, I've started showing the videos to our maids so they can do poached eggs.
Yeah, the YouTube helps to, when you've looked at a technique in the book, and then when you want to look at 4 other reference to understand it better, that's a good second point of reference. But I think the books are a good first starting point of reference.
And it's very scientific, some of these techniques.
They are. And then I was looking for courses which are like 8 weeks, 2 months.
So there are no courses in Bombay or India?
No, there were. Then I found 2-3 courses in Paris and London and wherever.
I know you too will you will find a course somewhere in the world, right? And German teacher, I presume?
No German teacher, French teachers. And I actually applied for it.
Which teacher was this and which
No, so I
this?
applied to La Cordon Bleu. I applied to Alain Ducasse.
So La Cordon Bleu is like one of the top schools, right?
Yes, and I got my admission. I was supposed to pay up my fees.
And what is the process of admission like? What do you have to apply? What do you have to do?
No, so of course there is a long love letter that you have to write.
And they teach in French or it's English or?
So they do. They were very actually nice to me. They allowed me to attend 2 days of school. So they have 1 day of theory where they teach in French, but there is a teacher. There's also someone who's translating at the same time. But the next day, which is a theory class, is all in French. But that was one school I was exploring. I was exploring a school in London. I was exploring Alain Ducasse, which is another French school. So I don't know. In my head, I was just going to decide between these schools. And during one such week, I was experimenting on this thing called as emulsification, which is the science of mixing oil and water molecule.
Ooh.
And I was struggling with it every single day.
So can you give me like in 30 seconds, how do you mix oil and water? Because I was always told oil and water don't mix.
Yeah, so it's when you kind of mix it at a very high speed, it emulsifies and it almost has a mayonnaise kind of texture. Right? So there is this dish called toom, which is garlic cream, which is an Arabic dish.
So I have my bulletproof coffee where I put coffee and
emulsifies.
butter. And then when I shake it.
Or when you use a hand blender and you mix it, it will actually become like a cappuccino.
Oh, now I understand the secret. Okay.
Yeah. So I was trying to learn that, and I think for a week I was miserably failing at that every single day. And
so mayonnaise is egg and butter. No, what is mayonnaise?
Egg, oil, and vinegar, or lemon juice.
There is vegetarian mayonnaise. What is that? It's not mayonnaise.
No, not really. There are a lot of preservatives and all that they add in that. So during that week, I remember...
So what was so difficult in making mayonnaise? Sorry.
No, not a mayonnaise, but this particular thing, which is the emulsification. And I don't know, it would just split and it would break and it would just not come together. And I was struggling with it. I was really struggling with it. And I said, let me look up on the net.
Which dishes use emulsification? Sorry, I'm just trying to...
So toom, which is what I was telling you. A mayonnaise, what you mentioned, bulletproof coffee, all of this is emulsification, a water and oil molecule.
Is there any Indian dish which uses emulsification for people to understand? Or we don't use emulsification at all in any Indian food?
Yeah, in Indian food, nothing that I can think of. Mayonnaise, I think, is the most simplest of examples.
Okay.
Because I think that's what everybody would understand. And during that week, I said, okay, let me research science. I kind of keyed in the word science of emulsification and I got a Harvard lecture series, which was on science.
The Vishal Gondal Show will be right back after this break.
Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta. I'm B50 on Twitter. I am the host of Paisa Vaisa, the show that talks money. On my show, I speak to experts from every field of money and finance. From stock markets, equities, debt funds, credit cards, life insurance, every possible area of money and finance that you can think of. We even did an episode on cryptocurrency. I've got fantastic guests from mutual funds to personal finance experts everywhere. Robo-advisory, startups, just name it, we've got it. At Paisa Vaisa, we help you make smart decisions about money. You work hard for money. Now make your money work hard for you. New episodes out every Monday and you can listen to my show on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you have. Paisa Vaisa is brought to you by Paytm Money.
So, emulsification, how important is it from a chef or cooking perspective? I never thought that was such an important thing.
See, I think there are various techniques and, once you know the technique, the application of that technique could be in anything.
And Harvard has lectures on emulsification.
Harvard has lectures on emulsification. Harvard has a lot of cooking series lectures.
I never knew there was Harvard and cooking.
Yeah, even I didn't know.
So you Google search science of emulsification.
Science, and then I found this huge Harvard lecture series on various things on cooking and I decided to watch that. And when I was watching that, one such lecture had the chef who I finally went and trained with, Fernando Hubani.
Fernando Hubani.
Though
Wow.
his shorter, whatever he calls himself, Nandu,
Nandu.
which just becomes a very Indianized name.
नंदू तो इधर ही था, अब लोग वहाँ स्पेन क्यों जाना पड़ा?
So I used to always ask him, why are you Nandu? It's such an Indian name, right? So, yeah, but so in one of the lecture series, he was explaining 6 different ways to emulsify.
There are 6 ways to emulsify, mix water and oil.
Yeah, so he kind of was demonstrating, and it was all in Catalan. And even though he was explaining in Catalan, which was over an hour or 2 hour long series, and I didn't understand a word, but at the end of it, I was left very, very impressed. And I said, I need to research this. I need to research.
You didn't understand a
this
word
chef.
of it, but just because he said, I know 6 ways of emulsification.
Something about, there was just passion.
Nandu.
And it was like, there was just something that made me research. And I said, I need to find out more about this chef. And I started Googling, and I figured he's a very big chef. And I said, okay, let me write to him.
And he's a Michelin star and all that.
He's a Michelin Star chef.
Wow.
He's got a restaurant in a small town called Vic in Catalan. He's
Vic?
got another...
Can you even find where Vic is on a map?
No, because when I was looking for an Airbnb apartment, there was only one apartment listed, which looked like it was in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And it looked like someone's going to come and stab me over there. It looked that scary. But yeah, it's that smaller town. And he's, of course, got a restaurant in Barcelona as well. But he lives in Vic.
And how far is it from Barcelona?
It's about 1.5 hours.
So because I keep going to Barcelona because, my younger son, he plays football for FCB.
Okay.
So in fact, he's now going back to Spain. So they have a lot of matches there.
So he's got one restaurant in Barcelona. And
तो नंदू को मिल के आएंगे बार्सिलोना में next time, huh?
Yeah, please, I'll tell you his restaurant. It's called La Comete in Barcelona. So I said, let me write to him, and I think I was very apologetic because I said, okay, he's a very big shot and I'm asking to intern with him. So I said, can I come and intern with you for 2-3 days?
2-3 days.
I mean, I just about found courage to ask him for just that much. So
it's quite easy. Find the expert in emulsification and, write that, can I intern with you, a Michelin star chef?
Yeah, and I didn't expect any reply.
By the way, I thought emulsification is also used in paints, right?
Thank you very much. I have no idea over there. For that, I'll have to do another internship.
Paints also have emulsifier. No?
Yeah, so...
Because that's where I had heard emulsification and distemper.
Okay. So I wrote to him. I was not expecting any reply. I actually didn't get a reply.
And did you say who you are, or you just wrote?
No, I did.
Okay.
I gave him my entire background, that I come from this thing. I did this.
So you are an advertising professional. You did yoga,
whatever.
Meditation,
This is something. I think it's my passion.
So he said, "ये तो कोई पागल ही है." Huh?
Whatever. And it was like it took a month and a half for him to reply. Obviously, because they didn't understand a word of English. So
he got it translated.
After a month and a half, and this was like literally 2 days before I was supposed to pay up for the fees for
Thank God.
this thing. I get
Otherwise,
a
you had to pay the fee and then you would still go to
At 10 in the night with just 3 words saying that 2 days not enough, you need to be here for a long time. And I called at like 10 in the night, 11 in the night. They were not understanding a word of what I was saying. I was not understanding a word of that, what they were saying. I said, okay, but I'm going. It was literally like that, with no commitment, no understanding, no conversation.
And you didn't even know the language.
They just said, come. Like literally the words were come. You can come, but for a long time. So I didn't know anything and I just took a chance.
Wow. That's quite a story. That's quite a story. And you started learning Spanish.
I started learning a little bit of Spanish. Don't ask me. I don't remember anything.
Hola, señorita.
By the time I just went there, I figured that all the things that I had learned is of no use because they don't speak a word of Spanish. They're Catalan.
Oh, that's like 2 regions, right?
Two regions, and they're fighting for their own independence. They're very fiercely... there was this whole independence. Yeah, the rivalry between FC Barcelona and
Madrid is well known.
Yeah. So very different culturally. But yeah, so I landed up there.
So you went to Barcelona, then you drove from...
No, I went to Barcelona. I didn't know how to get there. It's another long story of how I got there because I couldn't find a connecting train. I was stuck at a station till like midnight. I didn't know what
And you didn't have Abhijit here sending a drone or something to pick you up?
I remember like at the end of first day calling up Abhijit and saying, I don't think I can do this. I want to come back and crying because I think I had series of whatever disaster.
So you go to
happened.
Nandu's restaurant in Vic in the middle of nowhere in Spain.
Yeah.
To learn what?
So I was not even living in Vic. I was living in the village next door. So even to find my way there,
customer kahan se aate the Vic mein?
So because it's a Michelin restaurant, people from all over Catalan would drive and come there because food is big over there and dining is very big. So people would find time and they would be there. Like I said, over there people would come and spend 5 hours, 6 hours just eating a meal.
Wow.
So our lunch would start at 2:30 and would go on till 7:38, and we would be hoping that people would leave so we could just go home and have our dinner, And then the next dinner service would start at 8:30 and it would go on till like
I remember
1,
in
2 in
Spain
the
and
night.
Barcelona, dinner people have at 11 and 12 in the night.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. The dinner service, people would come at 8:30, but those guys would be there till 2 in the night, And then after we would finish this, then he also had a very thriving catering business where he would do events, very big events in Barcelona Stadium.
So
at that
Nou.
scale, yeah. So, we would go for those events and help him out with those. And the day would literally end at 5 in the morning. And then again start at 9 in the morning.
And how many people were there in the kitchen and what was your
Small
function?
kitchen, unlike India, you do everything yourself. So jhadu, pocha, cleaning, washing, everything is done by you. There are no different departments. There's no hierarchy. There is no such thing, including carrying the dustbin bags. You just do everything yourself. So I think it was most humbling experience because coming from India where we are so used to everyone around us doing
You are only telling me isko itna chop karke de do.
So that was like, at least in the initial days, it was like really humbling. And then also like excruciating in like, because the work hours and the hard work that they're capable of, for me, it was very, very new. So I think it was
How did you communicate with them? How did they explain you what to do?
I think in the beginning, a lot of it was just sign language. But then I kind of figured out the keywords. Phones were not allowed, but like whenever I had my break time, I would Google Translate and write down all the words.
Even for you, they said, ye aaye isko.
Write down the words that I needed, this thing, so I could kind of communicate with them. So I think after a while, we found a way to use words, to communicate with each other. The head of PR who was there, she spoke good English and she used to be in the restaurant all the time. So she helped.
So what was their idea of getting this random lady from India who has no background in any food?
I think they were just wonderful set of people. Before actually I wrote to Nandu, I wrote to a lot of people over here as well.
In India?
Yeah. I didn't get a response from anyone, and he was one of the first to reply. So I don't know. I mean, to
this
me,
is
it was like
always
a gift.
I have seen this, that, people who are at the top of their career are always willing to help others.
Yeah.
People who are not there yet are the people who have all the arrogance. So this is like,
Yeah. So, I think it's just the bigness of the person to say yes to a stranger sitting in India, not even really understanding. Maybe somebody translated that letter or whatever, and he saw someone who wanted to just come and learn.
And getting a Michelin star is no small deal. I mean, Vikas Khanna, another Michelin star chef, he tells me that it is not about being perfect.
Yeah.
It's about being perfect every day, every meal, every dish has to be the same, with the same perfection and the same craftsmanship.
Yeah. So I think more than, I thought that, I'm going. So firstly, there was a decision between going and learning in a culinary school versus going to Nandu. And that's where Abhijit kind of really pushed me in that direction. Because in my head, I still thought that I will kind of...
Nandu kahan se sikha hai? Pata nahi ki Nandu is like the biggest Michelin Star chef in Spain.
I should call him Fernando.
Yeah. Fernando sounds like,
Fernando. Fernando Hubani.
Yeah, Fernando Hubani sounds a lot more like, Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah.
Or that kind of a name.
Yeah. So finally, I think he pushed me in that direction.
And for how many days you were in Spain?
So I was there like a little over 3 months.
3 months?
Yeah. And
working from 9 a.m. to 5 a.m.
In the morning, yes.
And 9 a.m. to 5 a.m.
9 a.m. to 5 a.m. and then back at 9 a.m. Even the parties were like that. They work like that. They party like that. So culturally,
you had no holiday, no weekends, nothing?
No, of course there were weekends. But the weekends just went and just, like at least the first weekend I was just crashed because I couldn't even cope with and comprehend with what was happening. Language, being in the kitchen, the work hours. It was
and you went to learn this art of emulsification. Did you learn everything about emulsification?
More than what emulsification,
So what is the trick to do the best emulsification? What is the hack?
The hack, of course, is, using a high-speed blender or a high-speed emulsifier. But
how can you emulsify cold and butter? So I am not able to make cold bulletproof coffee.
Because you are trying, no, you cannot do that. At least what you will need is a melted butter, and then you can still emulsify, but you need a melted butter.
So I melt the butter.
You melt the butter, you're using your coffee, your cold brew, and then you still use a high-speed blender. You'll be able to emulsify.
But then in some time when the butter again becomes solid.
So that's why I said you need a melted butter. You'll need a melted butter. So what I do with my bulletproof, because even I like a cold bulletproof, I just make the bulletproof and I leave it in the fridge. It's just a shortcut. And it just becomes really, really nice.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought when I cool it, it'll again go and again like the coffee will separate from
so there's a temperature at which you just kind of get it out of the fridge, because otherwise the butter just comes and like a malai just kind of comes on top of your cup. But I think if you just kind of just cool it at a certain temperature.
For those who don't understand, this is about our bulletproof coffee, our main drink. So we are discussing how it is made.
Yeah, so if you just cool it and just get it out at the right temperature, it'll be perfect.
Yeah, I'm going to try that. I gave up on cold bulletproof coffee because it just could not emulsify.
So that's an easier hack, to just leave it in the fridge.
So 3 months in Spain with Nandu.
Yeah.
And then you come back and launch your amazing new restaurant concept.
Yeah.
How has the journey been? This is almost 2 years now, or 3 years?
No, it will be 3 years this October.
Okay.
3 years this October officially, and a year of blind trials.
Oh.
Media dark blind trials. So 4 years.
So what is the kind of cuisine people, of course I have tried all kinds of food, but is there a speciality you focus on?
So my focus has always been to take people through a flavor journey. Like, can I take them from a certain flavor, like a umami flavor, from there into truffle? What do I graduate into next? What is going to be a jump for them from a palate point of view? What is going to be easy for them? So these are things that I wouldn't mention, but that's what I'm all the time.
India में लोगों का flavor क्या है? पहले उनको पापड़ चाहिए, फिर butter chicken चाहिए, फिर naan चाहिए. मतलब, how do you take people who have come from this taste?
So when I'm doing the menu, when I'm doing the menu design, the first thing is to understand what is the comfort zone, because each one of us has a comfort zone depending on the level of experimentation, the level of travel, the level of food that we've tried, right? Of course, there is an Indian comfort zone of a certain level of spice being basic in everything. But having said that, different people have a different level or threshold of that comfort zone. So my starting point is always, there is a comfort zone, and this is what I have to play in. but can I push that a little? Can I get them to try a new dish? Can I get them to try? Because if they're here, then I can take them.
So I was
a
told
little
that you
further.
kind of study all your guests and do research on them. Is that true?
Yeah. So that's what I said, that for me, the starting point is to understand the comfort zone. That this is the level of comfort zone that they are in. And like, this is how much I can push them.
So how do you find the comfort zone? What kind of question would you ask them?
The kind of restaurants they like to eat in, that gives me an idea of the flavors that they like. That gives me an idea of whether
If
they
somebody
like
says,
spicy.
I only eat at Shiv Sagar and Pav
I get
Bhaji.
that. I get people who will say even vada pav. It's as simple as that. But then, that instantly tells you that, okay, this person likes street food and there's nothing wrong with it. But that's the comfort zone, right? And that's the kind of flavors that person enjoys. And can I therefore take him to the next level? So the idea is a combination.
An 8-course meal, right? It is not like...
Yeah, so the idea is combination of both. I can't take them completely out in the cold, right? I think it's literally what I like. I like stepping out of the comfort zone. So I think somewhere it's about, can I also take people, outside that comfort zone? So it's about few dishes, which are in the comfort zone, but maybe two of them, maybe one of them in the beginning, depending on the level of experimentation that I think they're open to, taking them outside.
And there is a flavor which you always love, like citrus is one of your signatures, right?
So no, when I have done like a 8-course citrus, because if you bring in too many flavors, new flavors within a 8-course, it starts clashing in your head. For the brain, it's a clash. So how do you stay within the zone where at least in your head, you are not like going from very spicy to, something that I don't understand, because ultimately the brain is still comprehending that at the most basic level, the flavors that I understand.
So you're using your hypnotherapy knowledge to...
I didn't see it that way, but yeah. But looking at, how people react to food emotionally. So what is the dish that they're going to be most emotional about? What is the flavor that they're going to be most emotional about, How can I surprise them a little?
See, because, like I said, I'm a big fan of LoveFools. I've been there many times. And I think I call it an experience. And I think the surprise element adds to the experience. Knowing what you're ordering kind of kills the surprise. So I think was that by design? I mean, how did you, because normally restaurants have menus,
Yeah.
This thing of no menu.
No, so the surprise element was also influenced by Mugaritz, which is another restaurant in Spain, where they design...
Spain is where all the, like El Bulli is also in Spain, right?
It's the gastronomy capital, actually, of all the leading restaurants are there.
I was told even the Denmark, right?
Denmark, Copenhagen.
Nobu.
Yeah.
Noma, sorry, I'm saying.
Noma, yeah. So these are the leading culinary destinations.
I've heard a lot about Gagan's in Thailand. I actually want to make a trip there.
Yes, so am I. So whenever you're going, take me along.
Yeah. Trying to get a seat is the problem. That's it. I'm ready to go. We are just hoping Chef Gagan is listening to us.
I am tagging along with you. Abhijit will not eat the
he will say keto, keto.
I'll happily
He's
eat.
very high maintenance. So I now tell him, I'm having a party. Please bring your food with you.
Yeah, he told me. The last party. Yeah. So for me, Mugaritz is been a huge inspiration on how they design the menu. And of course, that's not exactly the way, but what they do is when they're planning a new dish, they start with looking at what is the emotion we want to evoke through that dish. So it's not about the ingredients, it's not about the dish, it's not about the flavors, it's about we want people to get angry.
So do you actually have I heard about a restaurant which can make you cry. Is this the one?
So Mugaritz does that. So they actually do like huge research on 6 different emotions they want to evoke through 6 different dishes, and then they work backward as to what is the ingredient, what is the flavor.
How can eating a food make you angry? What is that?
Because food has those reactions,
or is it just
right?
bad
if you're
food?
Eating something really, really spicy, or something that is a flavor that which is going to clash with your idea of a comfort zone, you're going to feel that. So they're different, and it's not just the taste, right? It's the smell, it's the because it's a sense, it's a full sensory experience. So how do you create that? So they work a lot, then they work backward. So I think it's a combination of little bit of trying to understand, because ultimately a reaction to food will always be emotional. You want that comfort zone. You want that.
But why not just make a menu and give it to poor people here who want to come, huh?
I think it is, then for me, the sense of adventure is.
So every day you make a new, you hardly repeat, or you do repeat?
So every week we try out 2 or 3 new dishes, experimental. Actually, we try out 4 or 5 new dishes, of which 1 or 2 get shortlisted. Sometimes 1 gets shortlisted. That goes into the menu of the week.
Who is the person who decides which dish will get shortlisted?
So we try a whole lot of dishes. I have a full team now. I have a chef working with me who looks into innovation.
So how big is your team now?
So I have 5 chefs.
Wow.
Totally. Including the one who looks into an innovation. There's a head chef who's looking and leading the whole team. So there's a pretty big team now.
So is there a plan to scale this, or you will want to keep it small and exclusive?
I think I want the experience always to remain intimate. And how do the challenge is really going to be, how do I scale it up but not take away the feeling of it being intimate, being personalized, being curated for me? How do I retain all these things which are very, very inherent to LoveFools?
Oh, and I think that's going to be a challenge to do, right? It's not as easy to set up 5 LoveFools and have... all the same experience. I think that's going to be a tough challenge. But knowing you would find some guru somewhere, some German or some French somewhere.
I haven't figured that out yet, but it's okay. One day at a time.
So LoveFools has got rave reviews and all of that, right? But what has been the most satisfying part for you in this journey of LoveFools?
The number one part has been, people I meet on an everyday basis, I think it's I may have fever, I may have headache, I may have whatever, but when I am in that zone, when my dinner starts, I can just forget about everything. And
it's like a performance. I can see you it's like a opera and you are like the conductor.
And then when I go home, I realize, okay, I'm tired and I need to crash, so that it's been a high on an everyday basis. I love working with my team. I absolutely love, because the kitchen language is a very different language. You're just
we
bothered about chopping
all these
onions and
Gordon Ramsay shows. He's screaming and shouting at everybody. Is that like a kitchen language, or
no? You know what I mean by kitchen language is in that when the chefs come together. It's you're just, because your job is so physical. You're so happy chopping that onion. You're so happy chopping. Whatever.
Happy
that
chopping
doing.
an onion. That's a new word I have learned.
Yeah.
Normally people cry when they're chopping an onion.
So I think, it's just been the most, at least for me right now, it's the most non-political space that is there.
Non-political?
Yeah.
Well, there is so much politics in food. Everybody's telling you can't eat this and you can't.
I guess when you're with a bunch of chefs who are just kind of interested in ensuring that your meal is getting ready, there's no time for anything else.
And are you able to get the respect? Why aren't other people saying, oh, she's not even trained, going to some Nandu for 3 months can't qualify you as a chef. Have you got any of that?
Luckily, no. I think I would call that a blessing, because from day one, it's just been word of mouth and people going with a lot of positivity. And
I have recommended it to so many people, right?
Yeah. And
everybody on the show, I know it's difficult. You can't do it. It's impossible to get in. But you know what? Write a message to me. Tweet me on Vishal Gondal on Twitter. And you never know. We can swing you some seats using an influential person we have called Abhijit.
Yes, Vishal. With just your influence, we'll take people on board. So yeah, it's just been people like you. It's just been people who've really come to me 4 times, 5 times. There have been guests who've come 17, 18 times.
18 times?
Literally, yeah. So, and they've been literally like angels who've just supported me in every possible way. So...
No, I think it is the passion, right? You pursued this to wherever. Vic and came back, and this is the concept. So it is not the story behind this. So it is not just as they say, right, that it takes 20 years of hard work to be an overnight success. So for LoveFools, actually it was getting made. This idea was manifesting in you right from your MBA to your advertising to hypnotherapy. All of this was just preparing you to start LoveFools. Or you never know, maybe in 3 months you will say, you know what, ये LoveFools.
Knowing my reputation.
Maybe you will say, अरे LoveFools अभी छोड़ो, अभी मैं जा रही हूँ. I'm going to take up computer gaming, or I'll start another version of Goki.
No, I feel this is it.
That too you felt every time you did do something.
No, I didn't.
No?
I didn't. There was a point where very early in the
you're going on record and saying this is it. I can tell Abhijit that Abhijit iske baad koi cheez nahi hone wali.
This is it for me. This is it. And I knew that. Actually, I questioned myself when I came back from Nandu, because if you're working like
don't
that,
call him Nandu, yaar. Let's call him
okay, Fernando Hubani.
Fernando Hubani. Sounds like, thoda high class.
So, I think for me it was like really questioning myself, because, if I could enjoy every single day, even if I was working like a mad woman from 9 a.m. to 5, like literally next morning, and I still enjoyed every single day of my life over there, then I came back and I said, this is it. So for me, that this is it moment happened when I came back from
No, but I have to tell you, Sarita, your life needs to be a textbook. Because people need to learn this. Like I said, we are all trying to go for perfection and doing the one thing and long-term choices. And here you are, you kept on doing new things all the time. Till you now finally say that, okay, I have got to something, even though I think maybe something could change, but that's okay. But at least you have come to something so amazing and you have excelled at it, right? I mean, this has now become an
but I think the best
so.
advice I got back then is say yes to everything that's going to come your way, till you know that this is it.
So, now my advice to people is say no to everything and go to minimalism. But there was a time I also said yes to everything. So now, by the way, my default answer to anything is no, because there is too much on my plate. But of course, that's at a different stage of life. But I think when you are young, when you have nothing to lose, say yes to everything. I think that's a great lesson, and I think everybody should think about that. So tell me, are there any books or are there any movies or musicians who inspired you throughout your life? What has been your inspiration?
So, if when it comes to food journey, I would say, and I haven't talked about that in like major detail, but everything that I learned with Nandu, Fernando. For me, it was, I've not seen anyone who's more passionate about what he's doing. We need to go and meet
this Fernando next time I'm in Spain.
I have never seen, it's like,
I thought I went him to India.
I went to learn techniques, but I think it's like, I just learned everything, about food, about the need for perfection, like you just mentioned earlier, need for perfection every single day. How do you reach there? And, it's like you hear about these kind of people, but for me at least, it was the first time that I came across someone where you saw that in another individual, the need to get it right every single day. If one leaf was facing north instead of south, all hell will break loose. It was literally that.
Yeah, they will throw the plate.
Nothing. So it needed to be that perfect.
I've seen it on TV shows. Maybe that's what happens.
Yeah, the need for passion, the need for innovation, the need for constantly, reinventing yourself, all of that. And then, also just being very content with your life, just being good people, good human beings, I had chefs in my kitchen who came from villages which were as small
But that happened 2-3 years, 4 years back. I'm saying that before that, what really inspired you?
I think at different point of time, it was different things.
So any particular books come in your mind? Any books
There was, like I said, at one point, Osho was a huge inspiration till such, like before Wild Wild Country
No, but
happened.
I mean, even
you
after
know.
Wild Wild Country, Osho is a great guy. I mean, if you look at his teachings, I mean, remove some of the negative aspects, but what he says makes complete sense.
Yeah, so I think that was a huge this thing, and yoga has been another very, very big influence in my life.
Yoga.
Yeah, so I have been a Iyengar student for many years. Like I said, since the time I got, kind of decided to treat myself with yoga. So I got into yoga back then.
And do you also do meditation?
I do meditation, but yoga essentially is very, very key
so
to...
how much yoga do you do every day?
I do about 2 hours every
2 hours
single
of
day.
yoga every day?
Yeah, I go 4 days a week for my class at 5:30 in the morning.
Wow.
At least I try to attend. Though this morning I got chaffed by my teacher for bunking on Monday. But yeah, I try to attend.
Where is this yoga teacher of yours?
So I am part of the BKS Iyengar School of Yoga, and it's been a huge, huge influence on my life.
Wow. 2 hours of yoga every day is a lot.
Yeah, and I go for every single camp that happens.
So you're
I try
like
to
super flexible. You can like do all those flying yoga also.
I know I'm more flexible than Abhijit.
He will not agree to this.
So that I know. I don't know about super flexible, but yes, it kind of just fixes me every morning. So.
Wow. So yoga is your secret.
It is my one thing that I kept coming. Just like food is one thing that I kept coming back to again and again.
Are you into movies at all or music?
Yes, I am. But again, all of that is usually influenced by Abhijit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he now posts these crazy bulletproof or whatever music he calls every day, right?
Yeah, and now we are just into Netflix and whatever little that I get to watch at the end of the day, at least on a Monday, we end up watching that.
And you also keep eating those chocolates now?
I do, but not like him. He's 100%, he's 80%, he's like single origin.
And what percentage of chocolate is good for you?
I'm good up to 80%.
Okay.
I'm good up
Yeah, even I'm good up 80%, but it's not chocolate. You're just
yesterday
cocoa
he made
powder.
me try 100%, and he saw my reaction and he said, no, give it back to me. Not
Amazing.
Good enough.
Are there any life hacks you use, something which has kind of suddenly improved your productivity or got you to get something done which you never thought, or any kitchen hack you learned in Spain which you think could be interesting?
I think from a life hack point of view, like I said, it's my yoga that comes to my rescue.
And you're a life coach. I mean, you have so many coaches who've been like guiding you, right?
Yeah. So that's one thing. And also, all the things that I learned because, alternate healing, whatever that I've learned, that kind of comes to use in a big way for me in the kitchen. And from a kitchen hack point of view, I think the best thing is to do is just experiment. There are no shortcuts. You have to go through those 10 experiments, come what may, because only then you will discover what is the best. So I think the rigor part of it, if there's one learning that I came back with, is rigor.
So let's say
amount of rigor.
The world is ending. Today is the last day. And you have been decided that you are going to serve food to everybody. Last day of the world. What will the menu be? I know it's a secret menu, but let's say you are going to tell us. What will be?
If it's last day of the world, I will make the most indulgent food ever so that everybody goes
so what will
away
that
very,
be?
very happy. There will be a lot of chocolate, indulgent chocolate. All the favorite food of the people, like I said, depends on.
No, you have to decide the menu. People, if menu nahi hai, you have to say that what are the four.
So it will have a lot of chocolate, It will have a lot of spice for sure.
No specific dish you have in mind?
No, I don't have a specific dish in mind.
So you'll only say flavors or tastes.
Yeah, I'll talk of flavors and taste.
So
because
chocolate
that's
and spice.
Chocolate and spice. For sure.
So if it's the last day on the world.
If it's my last day of the world, I'll want green chilies.
Green chilies. Wow. That's...
I want it like in every meal. So if it's my last day of the world, I'll definitely want that.
Well, on that note, I must say it was an absolutely special conversation with you. I think I enjoyed every moment of this. There is so much to learn, so much to experiment, but I think most importantly, the LoveFools part is be foolish. That's what Steve Jobs also kept saying,
Yes.
that be foolish. And I think you have taken that foolishness to love and combine that on your next journey. So once again, a pleasure having you on the show, Sarita. And we are going to come back to my next meal on LoveFools very soon.
Thank you so much. And we look forward to having you and everyone along with you at LoveFools very, very soon. And thank you, Vishal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Filter coffee is a fascinating beverage. You need to pick the right beans, blend them in the right proportion, roast them to perfection, and slow brew at the right temperature to get the perfect cup. Which is exactly like great conversations as well. You need to track down the most interesting minds, get them into their zone, and settle down for an unhurried, unscripted chat. And coffee for me is always, always, always best enjoyed with friends. I'm Karthik Nagarajan, and do share my table as I meet some of the most interesting people I know and sit them down for a strong cup of coffee and an even stronger conversation. Join me every Wednesday for a freshly brewed episode. This is not frappe. This is the Filter Coffee Podcast.
Every week comes a show where three people come together to tell you about stuff they like. A movie, a TV show, a book, and other stuff. Tune in every Monday on the IVM Podcast app to IVM Likes. Batman approves this message. Thank you, Batman.